إنما هو التوحيد وتوحيد العبادة بالذات.
Travel through the earth. Some examples where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is simply saying for people to travel through the earth, look at what has happened to people of the past, right? And think about this, contemplate on these things. I gave just a few examples. There are quite a few verses that are related or that have this expression in it. So I'm just presenting 3 examples, right? Just to give you that sense of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using this concept. One of them is from Surah 3, verse 137. Right? And this is أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قد خلت من قبلكم سنن فسيروا في الأرض فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة المكذبين. Similar situations as yours is being addressed to the Muslims, right? the Sahaba, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Similar situations as yours have passed on before you. So travel through the earth, siru fil ard, and observe how was the end of those who denied. So again, we have a very specific historical reference. Right? You go through the world, you travel through the world, and anywhere you go in the world, in Islamic lands, outside of the Islamic world, anywhere you go, you see ruins of the past, temples, pyramids, old cities, right? Where people lived, they flourished, decades, generations, right? They bought and sold, they built houses, they lived their lives, they did everything, and all of a sudden, they're gone. There's no trace of them, other than the ruins, right? And in many cases, the people who lived there, we don't know their names, we don't know anything about them. Right? There's some ruins, archaeological evidence, maybe some inscriptions. If they were a literate society, maybe they had some writing that we could try to decipher. Okay, but dozens and dozens and dozens of societies, nations, cultures have come and gone. Right? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, look at these things, observe these things. Right? What is the fate of these people? The other example from Surah 6, verse 11, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ ثُمَّ انظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Say, travel through the earth, then observe how was the end of the deniers. So that same thing. Right? So this gets tied into everything we've been saying, the qasas, the stories that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is revealing. The different types of narrations of the past, taking lessons from the past, the ibrah. Right? And now Allah is saying, go out and experience it. Travel through the land. See what's out there. Right? Look at these ruins. Right? Look at what has gone before you. Right? And it should give us that sense of how temporary we are. Right? People living at a certain time period, living in a certain culture, living in a certain society, everything is vibrant, everything is going on. It's so easy just to forget, like everything. Forget the past, forget the future. You're just absorbed. You're clinging to the earth. You're just, clinging to this world. And you think everything is wonderful and, all the things that are going on and entertainment and everything else. And we just forget everything about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We forget everything about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Right? But then all of a sudden, destruction comes. Right? It could come in spurts, it could come all at once. Right? But every nation, right? Whether it's United States, European powers, every country, every nation, right? It's going to be ruins. Right? This is inevitable. It might take 100 years, 500 years, right? But in the scale of time, what that means nothing. It means nothing. Right? Look at Rome, 800 years, almost 1,000 years of Rome. Right? It's gone. Right? There are no Romans, in that sense anymore. The whole empire, and one empire after another, one nation after another. They grow, they expand, they collapse, they're gone. Some we remember, some we have information about. Others are just, some buildings in deserts, and we historians and archaeologists try to figure out, well, what happened here? Who were these people? What were they doing? Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, travel through the earth. See what has happened. Right? One other example is again from Surah 12, Surah Yusuf. Verse 109 أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما أرسلنا من قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم من أهل القرى أفلم يسيروا في الأرض فينظروا كيف كان عاقبة الذين من قبلهم ولدار الآخرة خير للذين اتقوا أفلا تعقلون. I guess whenever we read the Qur'an, and I hope and I encourage everyone to study the Arabic. Look at the Arabic terms in particular. Look at the Arabic. The English translations, alhamdulillah, are good, or whatever other translations in other languages, but we know that no translation will ever capture the real meaning outside of the Arabic. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we sent not before you as messengers, right, men to whom we revealed among the peoples of the cities. Right? So all the cities of the past, as I said, one city after another, one country after another, one nation after another. And we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent messengers to all these cities, right, to all these peoples at all times. Right? So have they not traveled through the earth? Right? So here you have this advice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even the people of the past, didn't they take these lessons? Right? I mean, everybody traveled. We know human beings have been traveling across the earth for as long as there have been human beings. And the famous Silk Road, and people have traveled, and they've gone by ships and boats, and trade and commerce, all kinds of things have taken place. Right? So people have always traveled through the earth, but do they take the lessons of what they see? Right? Observe and have observed how was the end of those before them. And here again, very importantly, where does Allah draw our attention to? Right? He says, in the home of the hereafter, Darul Akhirah, the abode of the hereafter. This is better. This is khair. Right? So all of the stuff of this world it's going to go. It's going to be ruins. There's no doubt about it. There's no way we could avoid that. Our lives, our own deaths, society, nations, all this is going to be ruins. And so what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us? Right? Think about the hereafter. This is better. خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا. It's best for those who fear Allah. Then will they not reason? أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Won't they use their aql? Won't they use the intelligence, the intellect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us? Right? How do we use that? We use it to ignore the signs that Allah sent, or do we use it to take heed of what He's saying? Anyway, that's just that topic in general. Right? So travel through the earth. Right? So now we'll move on to a third major theme or topic. These are the stories of the prophets that are told in the Qur'an. This, of course, is too much to recite and go over much of the Qur'an. Right? Story after story of the prophets. The famous ones from Nuh and Ibrahim and Musa, Isa, all the great prophets, stories of the minor prophets. We've been using the example of Yusuf in this, chapter 12 of the Qur'an. So to cover all of the stories of the prophets is too much for what we're looking at now. So I just, again, emphasize here, read the stories of the prophets. Right? I gave one example in Surah 26, from verses 105 to 190, towards the end of the surah. A very good example of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reviews one prophet after another. Right? There's about maybe 7 or 8 verses on each prophet that's mentioned. It tells a general story, right? How the prophets come to the people, how the leaders, the mala, the powerful people reject what the prophets are saying, how these powerful people get many of the common folk to follow them, right? And the prophets have this uphill battle, so to say, to get the message across, the warning. Right? Some people follow those prophets, but then eventually destruction comes to the cities because they rejected Prophet Muhammad, the prophets that came to them. All right, so anyway, that's just a general topic that I wanted to emphasize, the stories of the prophets. Right? And when you read these, right, whenever we read these stories, right, all these other issues should be in our minds now. The qasas al-haq, the truth about that Allah has revealed, right? Taking lessons from the history, the ibra, traveling through the earth, looking at the ruins, right? Using our aql, using our intellect, using our reflection on these things, right? Focusing on the afterlife, right? And the importance of the afterlife, not this life.